a group of brave and determined men emerged from the shadows, ready to shake the foundations of a powerful empire. Who were these men? What drove them? Today, let's uncover the fascinating story of the Zealots, the Jewish revolutionary group from the time of Jesus. Get ready for an amazing journey filled with intrigue, battles, and unshakable religious fervor. Have you ever wondered what it was like to live under the constant threat of an oppressive empire, and how faith can turn ordinary men into revolutionary leaders? Then stay with us and discover the impressive trajectory of the Zealots. The Zealots were known for their militant activities and guerrilla tactics. They didn't hesitate to resort to violence to achieve their goals, seeing themselves as sacred warriors in a battle for freedom and faith. Their actions included surprise attacks against Roman detachments, assassinations of Jewish collaborators, and sabotage of infrastructures essential to Roman control. These guerrilla tactics, involving ambushes and covert operations, allowed the Zealots to inflict significant damage on their enemies, even with limited resources. During the First Jewish-Roman War, 66-73 AD, the Zealots played a crucial role. They were one of the main forces behind the revolt that shook Judea, inciting the population to rise against Roman rule. Among the most notable episodes of their militancy was the siege of Jerusalem, where the Zealots, along with other rebel groups, bravely resisted the Roman legions. Another example is the fortress of Masada, where a group of Zealots mounted a desperate resistance to the end, preferring death to surrender. These armed confrontations and revolts reflected the Zealots' determination to fight to the last man to defend their cause. Their actions, though often brutal, were seen as acts of heroism by many Jews who shared their aspirations for freedom. The Zealot resistance, with its combination of religious fervor and military skill, became a symbol of the fight against oppression and inspired future generations to continue seeking liberation and justice. The impact of the Zealots on Jewish society at the time was profound and multifaceted. On one hand, they inspired many Jews to resist Roman domination and fight for their independence. Their courage and determination were admired, and their militant actions showed that it was possible to confront imperial power, even if the chances of success were slim. On the other hand, the violence and intransigence of the Zealots also caused internal divisions and suffering for the population, which often found itself caught between Roman attacks and rebel actions. The consequences of the Zealots' actions were significant for Jewish history. The destruction of the Second Temple in 70 AD, one of the most traumatic events in Jewish history, was partly a result of the conflict initiated by the Zealots and other rebel groups. The war devastated Judea, resulting in the deaths of hundreds of thousands of Jews and the dispersion of many others. Despite this, the Zealot resistance also left a legacy of courage and determination that would continue to influence the identity and collective memory of the Jewish people. In historiography and collective memory, the Zealots are remembered in various ways. In historical and religious texts, they are often portrayed as heroes who fought bravely for faith and freedom, although they are also recognized for the violent methods they employed. The legacy of the Zealots is complex, encapsulating both admiration for their courage and critical reflection on the consequences of their actions. They remain an emblematic figure in Jewish history, symbolizing the relentless struggle for independence and justice. But we cannot forget that the Zealots also had a very human side. Many of them were fathers, sons, and husbands who, amid the struggle, also faced the hardships of daily life. Life under Roman occupation was not easy, and the pressures to join the resistance were immense. The decision to take up arms against an enemy as powerful as Rome was not made lightly. For many Zealots, This choice represented a huge personal sacrifice, a renunciation of a peaceful life in favor of a greater cause. And it was this human dimension that made the Zealot movement so powerful and resonant. They were not just ruthless warriors or religious fanatics, they were ordinary people, driven by a deep desire for justice and freedom. This combination of lofty ideals and everyday experiences gave an authenticity and urgency to their cause that attracted many followers. Even those who did not join the armed struggle often supported the Zealots in other ways, providing shelter, food, and information. The impact of the Zealots can also be seen in the traditions and religious rituals that endured after the fall of the Second Temple. The idea of resistance and martyrdom, so central to the Zealots, echoed in certain Jewish practices and in the way Jewish history came to be told. The Zealot spirit of resistance, with its emphasis on God's sovereignty and purity of faith, influenced later movements and helped shape Jewish identity in times of crisis. Over the centuries, the figure of the Zealots has been reinterpreted in various ways. In some narratives, they are seen as precursors of national liberation movements, symbolizing the struggle against tyranny and oppression. In others, they are depicted as examples of extremism and fanaticism, a warning about the dangers of taking a cause to the extreme. These varied interpretations reflect the complexity of the Zealots' legacy and how they continue to provoke debate and reflection. In the modern era, the memory of the Zealots has been evoked in diverse political and ideological contexts. Zionist movements, for example, look to the Zealots as an example of resistance against foreign oppression, seeing them as an inspiration for the struggle for the creation and defense of the State of Israel. At the same time, the use of violence by the Zealots raises ethical and moral questions that remain relevant in debates about resistance and terrorism. The influence of the Zealots can also be seen in literature and popular culture. Books, films, and plays have explored the history of the Zealots, often portraying them as tragic heroes or martyrs. These representations help keep the memory of the Zealots alive and remind the public of the complexities and dilemmas faced by those who fight for freedom and justice. In summary, the Zealots left an indelible mark on Jewish history and the collective memory of their people. Their fight for freedom and faith, though marked by controversies and tragedies, continues to resonate as a powerful example of resistance against oppression. By exploring the history of the Zealots, we are reminded of the complexities of the struggle for justice and the importance of understanding both the lofty ideals and the human realities that drive revolutionary movements. The Zealots, with their mix of religious fervor, political determination, and military skills, offer a fascinating study of how revolutionary groups can arise, operate, and leave a lasting legacy. They challenge us to reflect on how the fight for freedom can be both inspiring and problematic, and how the actions of a determined group can shape the history of a nation. The story of the Zealots is a powerful reminder that the quest for justice and freedom is a complex and multifaceted journey, often marked by sacrifices and moral dilemmas. By studying this history, we are invited to consider the many forms of resistance and the importance of fighting for a more just and equitable world. So, we've delved together into the fascinating history of the Zealots, this group that with fervor and courage sought freedom and justice for the Jewish people. It's amazing to think about how their passion for the cause reflected the intensity and complexity of the period they lived in. But now, I want to leave you with some reflections. Imagine yourself living in that time. How would you react in the face of an empire that imposed its rules and beliefs? Would you join the Zealots in their fight for freedom, even knowing the risks and challenges? Or would you seek another way to resist? These are questions that even today make us think about our own convictions and how far we are willing to go for them. And we can't help but wonder, are there zealots today? People who, with the same intensity, fight for their causes and beliefs. How do these struggles manifest in the contemporary world? Can we learn something from the history of this revolutionary group to apply in our lives today? Think about it and share your ideas in the comments. Let's continue this discussion and explore together the many lessons history has to teach us. And if you enjoyed this topic, I'm sure you'll love the upcoming videos we're preparing. So, stay tuned to the Words of Maranatha channel, where we always bring content that makes us reflect and grow. See you next time, and may peace be with you.